Good morning, this is Heather from the Return to Work Mentor. Now, this is take 2 of this particular episode because we tried it yesterday, and I say we, I have Pedro with me, we're out on our walk this morning. We tried yesterday and it rained too much to be able to record at the same time as walking. So, and for those of you who may be new here, you may well hear my footsteps and the way that I'm speaking, and you'll be able to tell that I'm walking. So I hope that's not too off-putting for you. So my topic for today is something that I've spoken with people with over many times, but again, it's come up recently in the last couple of months. And this is in particular with reference to the limbo period. It sits between returning to work and not really being better yet. So this sort of situation can happen with many types of health condition, but especially one where you have had maybe an intense period of treatment that might include surgery, and following a diagnosis may all have been a little bit of a whirlwind, and you've had some time off sick, you've got yourself back to work, and you may actually have managed really well with a return to work program in terms of getting your hours back up to near full time in a very relatively short space of time. However, if you're listening to this, then the chances are you know that that doesn't mean the treatment is over, and it doesn't mean you're 100% recovered. And the reality is that you are now back and functioning in your workplace, whether that's running your own business or being employed. And to all those around you in the work situation, you maybe look as if you are back to normal and everything's back under control and that everything is going just fine. The reality, of course, is that you are probably pouring every ounce of your energy into your work, that you are depleted after your work days, and that you are really struggling, maybe behind the scenes, that what people see on the surface is presented as the professional that you are capable, but it takes everything out of you. And the discussions I've been having around this, therefore, are, well, I'm back at work and I'm doing almost full hours, but the people around me seem to think that I'm now back to normal, back to before I was ill or injured, when in fact I don't feel that way at all. In fact, I'm really struggling. And the truth is that people don't see what is going on behind closed doors, so the people at work don't see what happens at home. And the reality may well be that you are still having maybe a day off. So one of these clients is still having a Wednesday off as part of their phased return. And they are really still spending the whole of that Wednesday sleeping because they're so fatigued from the first 2 days of the week that they need to recover before they can go back and do another 2 days in the week. Those other days now are full days. And they're also struggling after work. So on the days they're at work, they then can't really function in the evenings. Now, this is where it gets really interesting from a return to work point of view, that arguably this means that they have kind of gone too far too fast in terms of their return to work plan. But we all know that the return to work plan needs to be practical so that you can actually get on with doing the job. So this happens for a lot of people. But there is a compromise in the situation, and the compromise is that for a period of time while you are adjusting to the return of the work hours, that your body, your brain, your mind has to focus every little piece of your attention onto that. And any time outside of that is spent recovering. And when you're at work, you are immersed in work. So this can also be really tough on your family and friends who may well have been supporting you for months. And now you're back at work, you feel like, and they feel like you have disappeared because you are now spending all your time in work. And when you're not in work, you may be sleeping and trying to keep going for your health. So it is a tough time. It's a limbo space because you are starting to recover, you are making good progress in terms of your return to work, you are managing many of the things that you need to do for work, but there's these massive compromises in other areas of your life. So first of all, I want to reassure you that this is normal for a period of time, and it happens to a lot of the people that I work with. And then to encourage you that it probably won't last forever. Now, I say probably, I'll come back to that in a moment. One of the ways that it can be useful to try and handle this is planning your return to work in short bursts, like sprints or phases. And depending on your situation, you might be planning 1 month ahead, you might be trying to plan 3 months ahead. I would always recommend planning at least 1 month ahead, and maybe the second and third month just a little more vaguely, because then when you get to the end of this first month, the month that you're in, you need to reevaluate what's been working and what hasn't been working, and that includes how much recovery time you're needing and whether you are starting to have any space within that, i.e. space when you're not working and you're not sleeping, for example, and to then be able to treat each month like a bit of trial and error. I think I say that quite a lot, because trial and error really is the only way to go. It's the only way you find out what you need, and make adjustments accordingly. So each month is a transition time. In transition, this month you try this, and this, and then you reflect on it and then you think, is that working? How am I getting on? Am I improving? And then you could tweak it if you need to. Or in the case of one of the clients that I've been speaking about here, where they had initially planned to increase their hours every month. So I can't remember exactly what they're on. I think they're on up to about 24 hours. Then they were going to go up to 28 hours. Then they're going to go up to 32. Then they're going to go up to 36. Actually, a bit quicker than that. They were aiming to be back at work full time within about 3 months. And what they discovered, though, when they reached the end of the month they were working on, where they thought they were going to increase their hours, was that they really, really still needed this day off in the middle of the week for recovery. So they were going to hold their plan exactly where it was and stay at the same number of hours. Now, what they did do was introduce one of their other tasks instead. And they also changed the way in which they were doing a couple of their work days. So they had some work from home days, they had some in the office days, and they reconfigured that. But they didn't increase the overall hours, because they recognised that they were still needing a considerable amount of recovery time, and that needed another month or possibly 2. So they reset their goals and they put in place the changes for the next month. And this is a really proactive way to manage this situation, because otherwise you can just feel like you're stuck and like it's never going to get better. It is very likely going to get better. Now, for those of you thinking, well, I don't think it is getting better for me, then the first thing to do is check, have you tried to do too much too soon? Now, rarely will I recommend that people scale back their hours, because that can be really difficult psychologically and also practically, but sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes it's necessary to tweak the duties that you're doing and the tasks that you're doing. So that would be one of the first things that I would suggest looking at. And one of the second things is to give yourself more time. So we're often quite unrealistic about how long a return to work process is going to take, especially if you have been seriously ill or seriously injured. There's a little part in our brain when we are first in that situation that would like to deny how serious the situation is and would just like to get back to work as soon as possible, because that will then feel like life is normal and we can all carry on as if it didn't happen. So there's some considerable denial in there, and I see that quite a lot and I get it. However, it might be this point where you go, do you know what? This is going to take longer than I thought. So I think I've mentioned this in some other episodes, so do feel free to track back. There's a level of acceptance that has to happen, and allowing yourself to take the time you and your body need for this recovery process. So it may simply be that you need to give yourself more time. Now, if you're several months, 6 months, 12 months even down the line, and you are still limiting your hours and you are still spending most of your out of work time in some kind of recovery zone, and you do not feel that you have any other life outside of work, then it's probably time to take a good look at this situation. And you may need some help to do that, and feel free to have a look at my services if you feel that's something I could help you with, because there may well come a time when simply this isn't working and you either need an outside third party to help you see if there's any other solutions that have not been obvious to you but might be more clear to an outsider, or start to discuss, well, how do I handle this now for the long term? If this is where I'm at and if this is not going to change, then how do I start to redirect myself? And what is that going to look like? Now, there's many ways to do that. It has implications if you are running your own business, perhaps more so than if you're employed and you can look for another job. However, looking for another job also means that you have to be really clear about what it is you are looking for and what needs to be different so that any new work that you do will be sustainable for the long term. And obviously there's a lot of considerations in this. It's like trying to find the perfect match of work to your health needs. And if you are in that role as a business owner or self-employed, this can also be super tricky because you're like, I can't get out of this situation quickly and I can't just jump ship and get another job. It's probably not that simple. So there's so many factors here that I'm not going to continue speaking about in this episode, but I'm sure we will touch on in future ones about how you navigate that decision to seriously look at needing to redirect your working life and exiting potentially your business. But I want to just finish off then on this topic of this limbo time and being in this space where suddenly you are not consumed by appointments all the time anymore. You have most of your medical team may have dropped off and you're just being reviewed occasionally. So that's also a bit strange because you've had tons of people caring for you and now they all disappeared. But you're still not feeling great. You're not well. You're not fully recovered and you may still have treatment to come. You may have more surgery to come. And you are back at work, but everybody around you is expecting you to be back to normal, full on your game, and you're just not. So remember, I want to reassure you that this can be a very normal feeling. It will probably be a temporary feeling. To give yourself time to accept that this is where you're at right now in terms of needing this recovery space, and then regularly checking in and reviewing whether you can do more or whether you need to stick and hold a little bit longer. So I hope that's been useful thoughts and insights and reflections that may help you on your own journey. As I mentioned earlier, if you do want any personal support with this, then please do get in touch. You can visit the website returntoworkmentor.co.uk to see what options there are there. And you can sign up to the Resilient Business Roadmap course, which takes you through some of the steps for planning around managing an unexpected health issue. So I will leave you there today. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll speak to you on the next episode.